freshman at the Tikkun elevator. I'm waiting right now for my Chapusa to come by. We're learning the Idra Rabbah, and the Idra Rabbah is like learning the most difficult part of the Zohar. At least many people think so. But this is the place to start because this is where the flow of bracha comes from. So here we are. You can see that our page here is on page Mem, and we're getting ready to get started. So 1 second. All right, I have us on page Kuf Mem. And let me see what I got here in my picture. So, one drink here. All right. So it says the Tana Lamadna, we have learned, Kasid, this pasuk, Eini Hashem Elokecha ba mereshis Hashana ad achris Shana. So he's looking at us from the beginning to the end, I guess. Bibi Arno, we've explained this like this. Ki Eini Meloshan Rabin, the word Eini that we spelling it like this, I guess he meant with the 2 yuds. Him Eini Zer Anpin, they refer to Zer Anpin because he has 2 eyes. Now we're working this. It seems to me that he's working this idea over more than one time. For him, let me see, I can't go. Him and Be'irim Benukva Beresish Hashana ad Akri Shana. He says the eyes of Zer Anpin are always looking at his nukva. So he says now, Hine Kol Zehu Ata now. This man has it in the time that we're living in now. She'enim Meir Ba Rak Eini Zer Anpin Hanikrayim Eini Hashem Elokecha. So we understand. Not sure what the Elokecha meant, but Hashem refers to Zer Anpin. That Zer Anpin is looking at Malchus. And so therefore, there's always a mixture of good and bad that are coming towards those that are looking at the Nuk. So there's a mixed way of looking at this, where he could actually that good and bad both are directed at her. But again, his behu yamin is smaller because why? There's 2 eyes. One is right, one is left. Din v'rachame. The fishiyesh be'eini zer anpin b'china shtei einayim. He has a concept of 2 eyes. Yamin is small. One is right, one is left. Achad b'china din, v'achad b'china rachamim. This we know. But the zimna da'asi, now in the future, yishtabach is yishtakach. You'll find ba eine achad the rachme. You'll find one that is rachme. Eine the atikim. It'll only be the eye of the atika atikim who is Eric Anpin. But the will be a Mosa Mashiach. Heyer, this is word Heyer benukva ha'aras ayin Eric Anpin hanikra atika atikim, which is called by that name. It is really only like one eye pulled together into, if there are 2, then they're all one. Because the whole thing becomes an aspect of the right side. There's no din there at all. So this illumination that you're getting, it will then shine into that nukva all the time. Ki Eric Anpin Atzma, Yar benukva Atzma, because then there'll be a direct relationship between Eric Anpin and the nukva Shalo Ayidei Zer Anpin. I guess that's the idea of this mantis of the moon, is that the moon will eventually come back to be the same size. I guess that's what he means, because here he's saying that Zer Anpin is the Eric Anpin is shining directly into the nook. I'm just trying to get why does it look like this? Okay. And this is where we have this pasuk, he says, I'm going to gather to you together with a tremendous amount of mercy and love. So you have to become the armor of the rachamim, mahu b'armor gedolim. Why do you need, if you know it's rachamim, rachamim is, you don't need to be big rachamim, because that's comparing it to something else. Umeshiv ella is rachme is rachme the atiki. Idun Ikru Rachamim Gedolim. This is called the Great Rachamim. Now the Yesh Rachamim, the Yesh Rachamim. Ki Yesh Behem Kama Ofanim, so there's different kinds of ways. She Yesh Rachamim shall Erik Anpin and Nikra Atika Datikim. There's, I guess, where it's manifest. Shehem Nikrayim Rachamim Gedolim, and they're called Great Rachamim. The Shehem Rachamim Gemurim, why great means here, Gemurim, complete Rachamim. Below Shum Tzad Din Klal, it's not mixed up with Din. Ki Erik Anpin, who Kula Bebechinas Yamin, below Shum Tzad Din, because it's all Rachamim. It doesn't really have a side of Din. Let me try one more thing here to build up this. Okay, Tzad Rachamim. Rachamim the Zer Anpin, Ikron Rachamim Stam. So when we talk about Zer Anpin, we want to let you know that there's Rachamim there. That's a general Rachamim. Yesh Rachamim shall Zer Anpin and Nikraim Rachamim Stam. Mishum de is ba Yamina the smaller, because it's not just straight Rachamim, it also is mixed with the left side. Din of Rachamim, you have them both. Now I saw something in Yaakov Cronenberg last I was reading, and it makes perfect sense, except logically. He says that if you take the right side, which is white, and you take the left side, which is red, it produces the color green. Now, we understand that that's true, but we know that if you mix red and white together, you get pink. That's in our world. Here he's saying that, I guess that's what he's saying. He's saying that there are three colors. One, as we know, there's white, red, and there's green. But he said the additional idea, which goes over here a little bit, additional idea is that actually they produce a third color, which is the color we're always talking about, which is green. So I don't know how that works, but it works. That makes good sense. So his Bishum the is be Yemina the smaller din of Rachme. It has the mixture. The she'enim Rachamim Gemorim. It's not complete one-sided Rachamim. Yesh bechem sad ikuv shel din, because there's one side that holds the din back. Shaharba yesh bezer anpin shtei anayim, because he has two eyes. Yom is small. Shehem bebechinas din for Rachamim. V'lekach for v'lechein he says v'ach b'sha shezer anpin. Meir b'shtei eina bebechinas yamin Rachamim. So when he's using both of his eyes, we call makom einim rachamim gemurim. In any case, it's not complete until rachamim. V'lekach, and then for this reason, einim nikrayim rachamim gedolim. So that's why we don't have the word gedolim. He says that gedolim means complete and total. He says again, kach l'devicha b'masha amar pasuk v'rachamim gedolim. That particular pasuk which says rachamim gedolim. A kabsech that I will, with that I will gather you together to Atik Yamim. This is referring to Atik Yamim. Pirusha, with his eye, that one eye that is all white. So Pirusha should be geulach asidach yakabetz as the shamas yisachol b'koach rachamim gedolim. So in the future, that you will see that we gather together all the neshamas of the Jewish people with a tremendous rachamim. Shall Erik Anpin Hanikroim Atik Yamin. Going on, it says Tana, we learn like this, Bahani Einin, looking back at these eyes of Zer Anpin, Betrin Gvane Menaichu Besumako Ukama. So now let's go back to this. Hine Bishte Gvane Eden Bishach Shebehem. So there are two din type lights in the eyes of Zer Anpin. He said that the dinim actually come from this. That is from the red and the black part. Shirol trin dimin. Now here's an interesting idea. Shron trin dimin two. So I think shron means that they're dwelling on them or riding on them. Trin dimin, two tiers. Shor shtei manal. So he said shora. Shuros, there were rows. Shuros is a row, right? Shuros stay, huh?
The verb. That's the verb over here. They read.
They read?
No, to be shora, like they're resting. He's gonna.
Right. Well, that's what I thought. So Shron Trendinim. So Shuros, what I read, I don't know what I said. They're resting on. That's a better word. So the root of these two tiers, or he says that are resting on them, these two tiers, Bishtei Anayim for the two eyes, V'heim sod kochos adinim, and there, of course, red and black are the powers of din. Shehem kamod malus meluchim gemurim. There are bitter. Actually, meluchim is salted tears. Merurim, and they're bitter. V'kad boy kutra berichu l'rachma Rabbi Yisrael. When Kodesh Baruch Hu wants that rachmanas on, v'asher HaKodesh Baruch Hu hanikra Kodesh Kedashim. So here again we have the use of the word of Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu, I think it really means the or of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. So he said, "B'kasher HaKodesh Baruch Hu hanikra Kodesh Kedashim," was called the Holy of Holies. Rotza the Rachem al Bnei Yisrael. He wants to have rachmanas on us. Machman Sa'akas Bnei Yisrael b'kol liban, but when we're crying out with all of our hearts, megodol tzorosechem, because of the tremendous pains that we have. V'hiyosem yachad ba'achdas gamor, and that also leads us into an achdus, which we're normally very scattered or separated. Achis train dimin li'izbasbach b'yam rabba. Azmored. So what happens there when he? Let me just go back. He says the rotza the rachem Yisrael. So he wants to have rachmanas on us. Then we come together and we cry out. So he says achis train dimin li'izbasbach b'yam rabba. So then come down these two tears. HaKodesh Baruch Hu hashtei d'malus. Then he brings down the two tears. Ha'ela b'yam hagadol, into the yam. Ha'ela b'yam hagadol, into the yam hagadol. Who's the yam hagadol? Kadeshi is basbach habedinim v'shoel. So what's the yam hagadol? Is usually refers to Malchus. Man Yama Rabba. So what do we have there? Me who yam hagadol? Well, Meshiv yam ha'chachma. No, he says gezehu yam ha'chachma adyona. So it comes down from Atik Yomem into Chachma. So in Chachma Adyona, the Erik Anpin Hanikra Mufus Dimo. Let's go back and let me read it again. He says, what happens is, let's just read the black part. Achis trin dimin the asbasma biyamarabba. So then comes down, falls to fall down. Question is, where's it coming from? So it's coming from a very high place. He says from the Achma. So he says, Morei Kodesh Baruch Hu the Maus. And he says that the Yamagadol into the Yamagadol, which is Chachma. Yama the Chachma law. So this is the Yama of the upper Chachma. So these two tiers that come from Erik Anpin, Kizeru Yama Chachma Adyona Shuhu Chachma Adyona the Erik Anpin Hanikra Muchas Dimo. So two tiers come from the Muchas Dimo of Erik Anpin, Kolomer. Let me get this started. So what do the tears mean? Kolomer v'yistzachun, so that they should bathe behivara on that whiteness, b'mavur denafik machachmas rabba. So from a flow, a stream that comes out of this upper chachma. Ve'ein hakavana shamorid d'malos memuchas dima atzma. Doesn't want to say here that the tears are coming from the muchas dima itself. Alakavanahi. Shall the Mangul shall zer anpin shall shorshem b'shnecha gavonim eden b'shachar shebanayim. Now this is an important distinction, I think. What is the kavana? That the tears are actually the tears of zer anpin. Because that's one thing he's saying. There are two tears that are bitter and salty. So that doesn't sound like it would come from Erik Anpin. So he says shall the Mangul shall zer anpin shall shorshem b'shnei gavonim eden b'shachar shebanayim. So he has these two colors. And therefore, he says the tears come out of there. Near chutzos, they become washed. Begavan alavan shal eni Erik Anpin, in the white color of Erik Anpin. Hanovea v'yotzim ha'chachma ha'gadayla, which flows out, and it comes from the chachma gadayla, which ultimately arrives, I guess, in Zer Anpin. Shal muchas dimah. Hanikra Yamagadol, it comes out of that Sdukas Dimon, and talking about the Malus Adinim V'Chadinim, and as a result of coming out of that place, it says it's going to be sweetened. Now, I just want to go over it in my mind of what he said. He says, where the two tears are coming from? So I guess the tears are coming from the Jewish people who are suffering so much and become united. It causes in some way, but he doesn't explain it well, that the Muchas Dimon will generate some sweetening. I don't know if he means that's where the tears come from, or he means it's a sweetening that is directed at those tears. I don't know which. So now we're on the next page. And the next page, Kuf Mem Hey, it says, Ata Shabir Soda and Naim Shel Zer Anpin. So now we've explained the secret of the eyes of Zer Anpin. Let's go over and let's talk about the nose of Zer Anpin. Because where does the nose start? It starts where the eyes leave off. In other words, so we see in the Sifra Ditzniusa, the man of Pirush Rehut, so we're explaining the secret, shall say for Sifra Ditzniusa. It's talking about that. He says, who Tamad the Zer Anpin, that we talk over there, it talks about the nose, the nostrils of Zer Anpin. He inyan achaydim shel Zer Anpin ku b'chol Tamad the Ishtamay the Partzufa. It's the concept of there is that the face, the Gemara deals with how to recognize a person, the nose is the recognizable part of a person. You can find out, discover who the dead person is, if there's a dead person, by the shape of his nose. So he says, Shebechaitim, Sham ku nikar shuhu parts of Zer Anpin, because that's how you know that it's Zer Anpin. Parts of nikar mahuz parts of, because you could tell the nature of the parts of from the nose. Is parsha milid. So from this nose, this nostril, that we see something to be said about this. And so there's a pasuk he brings from Shmuel, Olo Ashon Ba'apo. So he said that smoke and fire, it's like a fire that comes from smoke. So he has a fire that's coming out of his mouth that is a consuming fire. It also makes gecholim. It makes coals, hot coals, ba'aro memenu, lit up or flame from it. So this is a process. So now let's look at more carefully. He says, in this nose shall Zer Anpin, so we have these three words. There's a pasuk that says that this smoke, which comes from fire, goes up into his nose. Now, what does it mean? Kimasha Omer. So what it says of ba'apo, it says into his nose. It uses the word af. The Chayda B'Choyda B'Nikra af is referring to the nose, which is called af. He says la chayron af. So he's a hakabana. The chotim Zer Anpin. So when he says af, the word af itself, he says, refers to Zer Anpin. Below the chotim Erik Anpin. It's not talking about the nose of Erik Anpin. Ki min chotim Zer Anpin nim shachim adinim, because this is where the dinim actually come out. V'hagvuros. So he said dinim gavuros. Shehein besod ashan yodzer min af. So it says this is the smoke. It's mashma that the smoke comes out first, because there's a big fire down below it. So now let's go over. Let's explain the continuation of this pasuk. And the fire from its mouth it will eat. That it would be that these fiery coals, they are all lit up and kindled as a result of this, or they're flaming from it. What's he talking about when it comes out from his mouth? It doesn't want to say that what we're talking about here is in the mouth. So they want to say what? The real fire is down below in the mouth. We don't say this, and instead only comes out smoke from the nose. And from this, there he comes over and he explains. That's not what it's like. This is possible. What it says, Olo Ashan Ba'apo, where it says that enters in or comes up, rises up that smoke into his nose. B'chai Tanana is Kalala Eshe V'Gahali Denura. But according to the pasuk, then, that in this smoke, it also has two other qualities. One is Gahale, Esha, one is just straight fire, and the other one is kindled coals. So now it comes out like this, that in this smoke, so he says that in this smoke, let me say it again, the smoke that comes out of the nose, incorporated within that smoke is not just smoke, but it also has fire in it, and it has kindled stones, brimstones, or I don't know what's the right word, but it's a kindled fire. The list none below esha, because you don't have smoke if you don't have fire. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Ki ain ashen below esh, because there's no smoke if you don't have fire. Shahare im ain esh mehechon yatsa ha'ashan. So if there's no fire, where's the smoke coming from? Below isha, below tanana. So he's a kubukumokain ain esh below ashan. So we have below isha, that's fire, below tanana without smoke. Kubukumokain ain esh below ashan. Ki after lahadlik esh bilti ashan, you can't start a fire if you don't get smoke first. So that smoke that we were talking about, so it's not just a singular smoke. So now you have fire, straight fire, and you have coals of fire. So let's go on. So he said, now I'm talking about three different elements. He says, Olim, they go up, so that's an interesting idea. He says they go up from the nose. I'm assuming that Olim means it goes up from the nose. So I'm not sure exactly what he means by that. I'm talking about logistically. How does he move from the chotem is the chotem? So he says with inside of the chotem, trying to understand this, they go up. The yotzen, and as a result of mishpata mishnei nikbechachotem, and they come out of the two nostrils of the nose. Min nekev yomim yotzel mispash the asham, from the right comes out the smoke. Min nekev small yotzel mispash the ash, and then the fire comes out of the other side. So one side is smoke and the other side is flame. But Ta'ana, we learn like this. Ki is chavran tlas ilin, that these two actually come together. What does that mean? So now you put them all the three together. You have the smoke, you have the fire, and you have the burning coals. The clearly behind Tanana, the Nafik Mekutama. So you see them, all of them are together. From the fire that goes up, it comes out from the nose, from the nostrils. So here's an interesting idea. He says now they join together. So that there are three elements, but in fact they join together and they want to work together. But his schemo, let's say, and they agree that they're going to go out together. Because this is a kindled dinim that are burning, small, which is in which root is from the fire that comes out of the left nostril. So then what happens is the asha, which is yamini, which is in the right nostril, im hadinim small, with the dinim in the fire that's in the left nostril, is kamat chotama. So he said, what is kamat mean? Niskamat, Kotzer hachaytim. So I'm not sure. Kamat, I guess it means it comes limited or smaller, but his kotzer and is narrowed or made smaller. Hachaytim, the nodes become smaller. So what does that mean? The nashiv oz noshiv min hachaytim ruach shal roges, and then blows out of the. I guess it compacts in some way. I'm trying to understand that phrase. V'nashiv oz noshiv, it blows min achotim ruach shel roges, the ruach, a wind of anger. V'nafik tanana, and then smoke comes out. V'ukama v'sumoka, but the smoke, he says, has two colors to it. One is black and the other one is red. He said, it comes out with these two different colors. Lost him again. What happens here? Okay, we're back?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I'm not sure. Ubein Tre Gavonim. Let's start from Ukama Basumaka. There's a red and a black element there. So now this smoke all starts coming out. Now imagine the smoke, and the smoke is a mixture of two different colors, black and red. Dinim kashim, which is the idea of really punishing dinim. So the black color really comes from the side where the smoke comes out, atzma. So smoke, let's see, is like clouds or something like that you can't see through. That's what I'm just trying to say. Why would we say that is related to smoke? I was going to put that answer on. Okay, so but then the red color, which is in the smoke, it's really from the redness. Imagine burning coals, which are part of the smoke. So in other words, you have two parts there. Ubein Tre Gavonim, in between these two colors, red and black. But Gam Kolubo Gavan Shlishi. No, he said not like I said. Between these two, there's a third color, Niset, that's added on to them. Shuhu Mamutza Ben Shnei Gavonim Elo. This other color is a color that's sort of like in between the other two colors. V'hu Mitzad Gavan Shal Chebes Ha'esh, and it comes really from the side of the burning coals. Now we use this phrase that we've seen before, but now he puts three words on it. We call them by the words of af, which means anger, v'chem, another lashon of anger, mashchis is a destroyer. Now we have three colors, right? We have red, black, and what was the other one? Green. So he doesn't say that it's green. I said it was green. He just says that it's there. So let's look. So we said that they are the fire and the coals that are included in the smoke. Those two are called by those two names. Umashkes, the destroyer, that one. The Haidu Asha Nikra Af. So he says the smoke is called Af. So the coals are called chema. So you have different levels here of the anger. If you say like this, af b'chema ksiv, the two of them go together. So those are the only words that we actually see in the Torah itself. It's a pasuk in Devarim. He says ki Yugurti mifnei ha'af ha'chema. So I don't know what Yugurti mean. I didn't look it up. It says because of I don't know. But what does it mean?
I feared.
Feared. Okay. All right. But Yugurti mifnei ha'af ha'chema de'inun t'nana hukama b'sumaka, that this is the red and the black fire. Going on. So he said, they are this word af, which is anger. So this is the smoke, as we're looking at the black part of the smoke. Which is also that, which refers to the burning coals, which is also part of the smoke. Mashkis. Now so those two come out of a pasuk. Mashkit monolon. So where do we know that the word mashkis? Of a mashkis shuhu ha'esh begava the mutza. So he doesn't say that it's green. He says it's in the middle color. But I say, like I saw that Yaakov Cronenberg here is going over the Ramak, and the Ramak is really looking at and saying, this is exactly the quote that he gives me. I don't know if this is correct or not. He says red and white. Oh, so here we're talking about black and red. Okay, red and white mixed together make the color green of an egg yolk. I thought egg yolks were orange, but maybe in Israel they're green. Mashkis monodon avam mashkis shuha eish begavan the mamutza. So this is a color that's in between the two. Minai and Lana, where do we know this from? It's not from a pasuk. We don't see it. And he brings it over like this. He says, Sham Shem Mashkis, Kosov Etzel Chaficha Sidon V'Gomorrah. That's where we see this, by complete and total destruction. Commotion Ember the Shachas Hashem Esidon V'Esimorah. So here's the word Shachas. So he says it's Shachetz. Okay. The pasuk says Shachet Shu Lashon Mashkis, destroyer. A Mashkis Benura Dolig Mukta. So he says that the Mashkis in fire. He said a lit fire mukta. So it said a kindled blazing fire. Behind the Shah Kodesh Baruch Hu Hashkis as Sodom and Gomorrah Ayedera Mashkis. So how did he actually destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? He did it through this concept called Mashkis, the one that destroys. Eish Dolekes B'Yokedes. This is a burning, blazing fire. A commotion to Emmer, like we said, but Hashem Himter al Sodom v'al Gomorrah. Hashem caused to rain down on Sodom and Gomorrah. Gophris, so he's a Gophris, I forget what it is. Ve'esh, so I guess Gophris is, what's the word for Gophris in English? I can't remember right now, but it's lush and fire. Huh? Is it coals?
Sulfur.
Yeah. What's it called?
Sulfur.
Sulfur. Okay, can't quite hear you. Sulfur.
S-L-F-U-R.
Say it again. One more time.
S-U-L-F-U-R. Sulfur.
Yeah, sulfur. That's S, you say. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Gophrish, which is sulfur. I don't know what sulfur, what the meaning of that. If it Eish Me'ez Hashem Min Shemayim, so this all came out from Hashem. It's mashma, these three types of ultimately leading to mashkis. So we learn like this. So it's giving a little background of the nature of the dinim coming out of the nose of Zeranpin. But Ta'ana we learn. Chamesh Gevuron in him. Now that's interesting. He says there are 5 Gevuros. We know this. Ki Chamesh Gevuros saying there are 5 Gevuros. Bahai Zer Anpen, and these Gevuros, we find them, of course, in Zer Anpen. We understand the Muach Hadas has within it 5 Kasad and 5 Gevuros. Shel Zer Anpen, and that's where they're at. Vistalonku L'Olchav Ava Arba Mea Gevuron. And those 5 Gevuros, they behain olos lemisbar. They could be counted up. It could be counted up of elef arba meos geburos pratios. Now, how I got this number? Into it comes up to 1,400 specific geburos. So, in other words, they split. Ki hachamesh geburos aim so hey osius mansapach. Now, mansapach I know from other places refers to sweetened in at least in some extent. So, let's see what he says. They come from these 4 of these 5 double letters. So he says that's really goes along with the gevuros that are inside of the das of Zeranpin. Ha'olas communion par. So if you add up the gematria of the word mansapach, you come to the number 280. The Gamo came, and also the same kind of way. Gamo came gam call gevuros or gevura minachamesh gevuros. So you take each one of the gevuros, with mansapach itself is the 5 gevuros. It comes to the number 280. But if you take them, each one of them individually, call gevura minachamesh gevuros kol b'socho as kol hahe osis mansapach. So each letter of the mansapach is a mansapach. So it comes out that there is a para 280, which is a mansapach, in each one of the 5. It comes out to be the number 1,400. So this is the root of where a specific group of 1,400 gevuros come out. And mispashtam, and then they spread out. So now you have these 5 gevuros inside of the Muach Hadas, each one of them represented by the number 280 because it's a chiddush a little bit for me. So he says that each one of them is a mansapach by itself, comes to the gematria of 1,400. Then they spread into the body. And they start in the forehead, and they go down into 5 different places in the parts of their anpin. So each one of the mansipach, which is like a master, the master gevuros, which are in the nose. Now that's how we get to that. So he explains. In the nose of Zer Anpin, Shuhu Hamakom Elyon Rishon the Hispashas of Gevuros, which is really the first place that we see the spread of the Gevuros. Now let me just think in my own mind. He says that he is establishing that the Das has more than one position. So he says that the Das really, we understand it is to be the contained in the Ataras Yesod of Ima, are these Gevuros. Actually, Abba has Gevuros as well. So he says, hey, Hamakom Ha'elyon B'Harishon the Hispashas of Gevuros. So this is the first place into the nose where these go. Because it's on the middle line. So he said, but the words are that it's in the middle of the forehead, those are all middle, he wants to say these are all middle areas. He says, because this is the place that the Gevuros spread out from. And this corresponds, I guess, I'll read it again. This position that it takes in the nose is really the first position, which is represented by the first letter of the mansipach, which is mem. Shehi os mem stuma. It says it's a mem, which is a sasum, which quote, in other words, the mem, the final mem, the mem sofi. So because when you remove the middle line, so you look at the nose and you'll see that the nostrils, actually there's a bridge to the nose, which is the middle line of the nose. So let me read it again. Huh? What happened?
Hey.
Yeah, what happened there? Okay, that was an interesting piece of music, though. Okay, let's go back. I'm not sure you said something. Let's go back to the last words on the previous column. Let me see. Well, how come it doesn't focus well? It doesn't. So he said, so he says, "V'hu keneged os arishon shel he osius mansipach." And we're talking about the nose, the area of the nose here. Shuhu os mem stuma. So he says the first place that you see, apparently in the nose, that you see a resting place for these gevuros, and particularly the mem stuma of the mansipach. So let's say you have the bridge of the nose. Let's remove it. Tishar nekev echad kedimyon mem stuma. Then you'll see. It's hard for me to picture it, but I imagine that what he's saying is that now you have just the two nostrils without a bridge. And if you look at the length of the nose, then they make a square in some way because there's nothing separating them. Sha'os mem stuma hiashorish the le'ever ha'chaytim. Now that is a fact that I have no idea where that fact came from, but he just said it. Once again, he says that the letter mem, when it's in the mem sofit, it's in the stuma. He has shorish le'ever ha'chaytim. It's the root actually of the nose. The puma in the mouth. Then they go into the mouth of Zer Anpin. So it's another letter. So this is another station of the Gevuros. Ki os pei b'milui hu peh, because if you take the word peh, you have the word peh, which means mouth. V'doim of the peh, so it's similar to the peh. So he says, what? Let me read this again. Let's find. Keneget os kof sofit. Ki os pei, which is it's not. Oh, I read it wrong, man. Keneget. One of the problems I have with trying to video this, is that I can't see it so well. I gotta look closer. V'hi keneget os pei sofit. So now pei, we know that you can spell pei hey. Ki os pei b'milui hu peh. The Romans the peh. B'deroi. Then it goes, after that, the third stage, it goes into the arm. V'achar kach mispashe the gevuros the zroas v'hin keneget os nun sofis. Why? Ki tzir hazroa, because if you want to look at your arm, look what it looks like. It's long. Hu orech kedimyan os nun pshuta. So it looks like the simple nun, which means the nun, which is the double nun. Bidin. So then it comes to the hands. So this is three different letters. Then the gevuras go into the hands. The hands are gripping. Vein keneged os kaf demansipach. Why? Ki os kaf b'milui hu kaf pei, which is the word for hand. Rome is the kaf yad, then it reverts to the fist of the hand, that part of the head. Below it's bows, but he means without fingers. So this is the fourth stage, and it goes into the fingers. But it's bone, and then finally the fifth stage is it goes into the fingers. Then it goes into the bones of the hand. Excuse me, not the bones. What is it? The fingers of the hands. And it really corresponds, and you can see this. He says in the Los Tzadi Tzofit of the Matzipach. Hitzir harosh shall os tzadi doime lechitok etzbos. So the form of Rosh Tzadi, he says is like this: is doma lechitok etzbos. So this is like the cutting off of the fingers on the frodim. Arges chitok, you separate the fingers into a V shape. I think. What does chitok means? Cut, no?
Separation.
Yes, yeah, it's balas on the frodim. So to make the fingers, I think it means in a V shape. The regel ha'otz tzadi. So if you take the regel, the leg of those sofit, daim of the kafayad, this is similar to the hand itself. Shemibenu yotz of his bows. I'm not sure I hear that, but he wants to say that from the bottom is the hand, and from the top is going to represent the fingers. And is this where you want to stop today?
Yeah.
You're out of time. Okay. Well, thank you very much for learning with me today, and it's we got a long way here. Call to.